Can you explain in layperson's terms what survival analysis is and why it's so crucial across various industries?
Sure. I mean, the name comes from medicine, where most often you're looking literally at the survival of a person. And that could be life expectancy, for example, where you are looking at the possibility that people might die at each age. In medicine, often you're looking at someone with a particular medical condition and looking at survival rates as a function, usually time since diagnosis. But then in mechanical processes as well, you're often looking at mechanical parts that wear out, electronic parts, and so on. So in that context of reliability engineering, we're often interested in both mechanical wear, that things wear out over time, but also the possibility that you see the counterintuitive behavior. There's the memoryless property that we were just talking about. And then under certain conditions, you actually see the used better than new in expectation property, UBNE. And that's the opposite of what we expect. From mechanical things that wear out, you would rather have a new one than a used one. Would you rather have a new car or a used car? But there are not too many things in the physical world, but a number of things that have the opposite property, that the longer they've been alive, in some sense, they have demonstrated their longevity,
Mhm.
and therefore you expect them to live longer.
Right.
One example of this that's unfortunate is for many cancer diagnoses, they have the property that at the point of diagnosis, it is likely to be a severe condition. And so the life expectancy at diagnosis might be quite short. But after you have survived for a while, that implies, first of all, that it might be a less severe case, and second, that the treatment might be working.
Mm.
And so someone who has survived, let's say, 1 year after diagnosis might be substantially more likely to survive a second year.
Mhm.
So cancer patients might have that property. People who are starting to ride a motorcycle for the first time might have this property. They are at the highest risk when they are new riders and less skilled. The
Mhm.
longer they have survived, the more likely you expect. And up until recently in human history, almost everyone ever born had this property at birth because child mortality was so high up until
Yeah.
quite recently
Yeah.
that at birth, your life expectancy might be 20 or 30 years on average.
Mhm.
And that number is being pulled down quite a lot by mortality in the first year, first 5 years. If you survive the first 2 to 5 years, now you have the intuitive property that your life is getting shorter over time. But in the first year of life, up until very recently, it was the other way around. And that is still the case in places in the world that have high child mortality, but by and large in middle and high income countries, it's now people have the conventional uh, thing that we would rather be new than used.
Yeah. I love all of these examples. This is so much fun. So I guess this kind of survival analysis, it could be useful in practice in a lot of different situations that people aren't thinking of. So survival analysis, I guess my startup is a SaaS company, and so survival analysis could be useful for us for modeling customer longevity. So
Mhm.
there's probably some kind of property like this as well, where if we've already had a customer for quite a while, that probably says that they're happy. If they've renewed their subscription for several years, they're probably likely to renew again
Mhm.
because they clearly get value from the product.
Yes. So I think churn analysis and related questions are survival analysis is a very useful tool, particularly because it solves a statistical problem that comes up all the time, which is at any point in time, you will have customers who have quit. And so you know when they signed up and you know when they left. And so you can compute that. And that's analogous to if you're treating a patient and someone has died, you know how long they lived. That's contrasted with the people who are still alive. For them, you can put a lower bound on it. You know how long they have survived so far, but they're still alive. Or you have a customer who is still with you. I've also used this for analyzing marriage patterns. If you're looking at people who are already married, then you know what age they were when they got married. If they're not married yet, you don't know what future age they might get married or if they won't at all. And so you have this statistical problem of trying to combine those two groups, the ones where the duration is known and the ones where you have a lower bound, but you don't know what the value will be in the future. If you naively combine those two groups, you are going to get a very misleading average. And what survival analysis is a set of statistical techniques for squeezing all of the information out of those two groups, both the known cases and the lower bound cases.